Absolutely.
Can we get an amen?
Come on, guys. Come on. Come on, Joe. Look at how shy he is. We're here this afternoon to announce an arrest in the case. I know everybody knows last Monday night actually, Sunday night, Monday morning at about 12:30 in the morning, one of our officers engaged in a gun battle in the 8th District. He was off duty and he was the victim of an attempted robbery while he had his 2-year-old child in the back seat of his vehicle as he was coming home from his mom's house. And the officer was struck in the wrist and in the chest. Unfortunately, it's okay. And subsequent to that, the investigation, our detectives under the lead of, where'd you go, Tony? Under the lead of Commander Tony Riccio, did a dogged pursuit and investigation. And with us up here is Chief Les Peterson from the Summit Police Department and Officer Joe Flincham from the Summit Police Department, who played an integral role in the solving of this particular case. And Lieutenant James Sanchez, Juan Perez, police officer, and police officer Michael Fleming from our Gang Investigation Division assisted in closing the arrest. So that's why we're up here today. I'm going to have Commander Riccio give you an overview and some details on the investigation, and then Chief Peterson is going to talk a little bit about the role that Summit played in this, and then we'll take some questions at the end. Okay?
Commander, if you could spell your name, please.
It's spelled R-I-C-C-I-O. First name is Anthony, and I'm the commander of Area Central Detectives. On the 10th of December, shortly after midnight, an off-duty police officer coming home after having picked up his 2-year-old son was parking his car in the area of 63rd and Nashville. After he parked his car, he was exiting his vehicle. He was approached by a man wearing a gray hooded sweatshirt, and that man displayed a gun and made a robbery demand of the officer. The officer was in fear for his own life. He feared probably even more so for his son, and he took out his duty weapon. He announced that he was a police officer, and at that time the offender fired on the officer, and the officer returned fire. There was an exchange of about 10 gunshots between the two of them, and the officer was hit once in the chest and once in the left wrist. The offender fled the scene, jumped in a vehicle, and took off from the scene. We initiated immediately a round-the-clock investigation, and with the help of Officer Flincham from the Summit Police Department, we were able to develop information that led to the arrest of Mario Froylan. Froylan is a 27-year-old street gang member. He was on parole at the time of this incident for federal narcotics charges, and he has an arrest history in Chicago that includes 9 previous arrests. I know we use the cliche all the time that it was good old-fashioned police work that solved a case. I think that cliche applies here, as well as technology helped us as well. There was video that we were able to utilize that helped us determine the vehicle that was involved, the direction of flight, and again, back to the cliche, good old-fashioned police work. An informant that Officer Flincham had in Summit provided him with information, and that information was turned over to us and subsequently led to the offender's arrest in Westmont, Illinois. Sure, I'll turn it over to Chief Peterson from the Summit Police Department.
Hi, I'm Les Peterson, with the Chief of Summit Police Department.
And is that with an ON?
ON, yes, sir. Thank you. This is just another example, a wonderful example of a team effort and the commitment that the Chicago police, I think, has to serve and protect. And I think that goes for all the police departments that you're seeing here in Illinois. And so the situation that occurred was a serious one. The successful conclusion to it, I think, is a result of dedicated, hard, plain old-fashioned, hard, good police work. And it was Officer Joe Flincham that actually provided some of the information that led to the successful conclusion. And with that, I'll let Joe say a word.
Joe, could you spell your name?
Sure, it's Flinchum, F-L-I-N-C-H-U-M. And I don't have a lot to say. I just wanted to say that, I'm proud to be a part of the investigation. Myself and the other officers that I work with, we took it seriously. We worked hard, and we're, pleased to be able to serve and protect with our brothers at the Chicago PD. They did a great job.
Okay, we have, thanks, Joe. We have significant forensic evidence. We have witness identifications. We have other statements that are helping to make this case. It's still ongoing. We're still recovering evidence as we speak. But the fact is, none of that could have happened without the work that Officer Flincham did. And Chief Peterson and I were talking before we came down, and the fact is, his entire department is focused on assisting us with this investigation. And he actually thinks that as they were moving towards the border of Chicago, when they heard about the event, that the bad guy might have actually gone the opposite direction, because that's where the information developed, that's where it was. In fact, that night, because of the proximity of the event to the border of Chicago and Summit, we discussed the possibilities of that very early in the investigation. Someone was notified and brought in to it. So just a great conclusion, and I can't thank Chief Peterson and Officer Flincham and our comrades out in the suburbs out there helping us every single day. Questions?
Where was the video from, and is it street cameras or was it a specific business? Can you elaborate on that?
We recovered a number of different videos, and what Commander Riccio was alluding to, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Tony, we were able to piece together a series of videos being able to document the direction that the vehicle fled, subsequently actually turned around, started out south, I believe, turned around, ended up going north and then west out into Summit. We were able to piece that together through a number of different videos. Some of them were very grainy and weak, and some of them I think were better quality, but by and large, that was a nice break, and the technology obviously helped us.
Is that how you were able to see the license plate then, which led you to him?
No, I don't think we ever,
No?
we never saw the license plate on the video, no.
So just you were able to discover where he went to, and then...
We had a direction. We had a direction. We knew that he went into Summit, and like Tony said, talking about good old-fashioned police work, here's Officer Flincham in Summit doing old-fashioned police work and talking to people and finding out what he can, and he developed intelligence information, which ultimately led to the arrest of this individual, and now we're tying up all loose ends, recovering various components as much as we can, whether it be the vehicle or the gun or whatever. We're looking for all of those components, and we have some of them, and we're going to continue down this road, because we're going to cross every T and dot every I, because it's very, very serious. What I would like to do is just really draw your attention to something that may have been overlooked in this. First of all, the officer who was off duty and who got shot, I know who he is, because 2 weeks ago we gave him a Valor Award. He's a great cop, works in the 7th District, and the fact is, I want you to put yourself in his place, where he's got his 2-year-old, literally a couple of feet away from a man with a gun who's pointing it at him. So he's doing well. I speak to him just about every day right now, touching base with him and see how he's doing. He's in some pain with his wrist, and in typical Chicago police fashion, he says to me, I have to get back to work because I'm worried about my partner, because he's worried that his partner is out there without him. So just the character of these men is overwhelming.
What was the severity of the chest wound?
The chest wound, he was incredibly lucky, and I mean, I'm not a forensic expert, but he was shot in his left wrist, and I think what happened was that kind of turned him, and the bullet actually hit him in the chest, virtually center mass, but it traveled around his rib cage and never actually penetrated his chest cavity, which saved his life, I'm pretty certain, because it's going to be hard to survive a gunshot wound to the chest right at that spot. So he was incredibly fortunate. He was also cool enough and skilled enough that he was able to wound this guy at least once, which ultimately is helping us also, because we're recovering some, serology type forensics evidence in blood and things like that.
So
Superintendent, talk a little bit more about how you react when you hear something like that. I mean, you know, it's one thing for an off-duty police officer to be attacked, but like you said, he had his child with him. I mean, it could have been much worse than it was.
It could have been much worse, and in fact, there was a bullet hole through the window of his car, right in the vicinity where the child was. You know, so this is the 8th officer who's been shot since I've been here, and you know, it inevitably happens at night, and that night it was Sunday night. I had gone to bed at about 10:30, and the phone rang at 12:30, and the first thing I said to myself was, "I've got a cop shot." So I jumped up, pulled myself together, and got out and headed to the scene first. And when I learned the circumstances about the child, you know, and then I learned who the officer was, who I knew who he was, you know, it all kind of comes together. But at the end of the day, you know, I'm looking at other people every single day who are the victims of gun violence. And, you know, especially now, right? Everybody's talking about what happened in Connecticut. And the fact is, something's got to change. Something's got to change. So, you know, where the gun came from, I don't know yet. But this particular offender does not have a violent history. He's on, I believe, federal parole for a narcotics conviction. Does not have a violent history, but he apparently made some sort of a leap to doing gunpoint robberies and willing to shoot it out with somebody.
Charges?
Well,
Charges yet, or?
Tony, what do we got him charged with? It's got to be an attempted murder.
Right, he's charged with attempt murder of a police officer, aggravated battery of a police officer, and attempt armed robbery.
Has he appeared in court?
Let me just finish. I'm going to try and finish the thought to answer the question.
Okay, sure.
No, it's fine. But I mean, I think about, you know, children growing up all the time who become subject to this type of behavior, and it's just heartbreaking. You know, I'm fortunate that my children are adults, and you know, I just don't even know what this officer could have felt as far as fearing for his son's safety.
And I take it since he was off duty, he wouldn't have been wearing a bulletproof vest?
No, he was not. He was not. I'm sorry, sir.
Okay. Has he appeared in court?
No, he is not.
No.
No, he is not.
Okay.
We're executing search warrants, basically, as we speak, searching for evidence. He's been charged and booked. He has not appeared in court yet.
The fact that you're looking for that stuff right now, is that why you're not identifying him?
No, we did
That's
identify.
his name.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we did identify. We'll get you mugshots and
Yeah, they were
charges and
released this
everything.
morning.
Superintendent, what was the
Yeah.
award for valor that the officer at the Louisiana Chip received?
I forget which one it was, but it was during our recognition ceremony that we did about 2 weeks ago. He was involved in a situation that involved a man with a knife and a child, I believe. If I recall correctly, it might have been a situation where he had to take that action to prevent the child from being injured, which is kind of ironic if it is in fact true, but that might be the case if I recall correctly.
And was officer's son totally fine? Were there any glass fragments that came?
Yeah, no, the child was not injured. As a matter of fact, that night when I went to the scene, I met with the officer's mother, and he was bouncing off the walls like any other 2-year-old would be doing. You know, so he seems to be fine. Certainly no physical injuries. Hopefully he doesn't remember what happened, but you know, I can't answer that right now.
There was a police-involved shooting that happened this morning. You were around 11.
Can we just, any other questions on
I
this?
have one
Let me
more
get- we'll
I
go
have
right to
another
it.
related to that. You said executing search warrants. Are you able to elaborate on what, where?
We're collecting evidence. We believe that we've recovered the vehicle, and we're waiting to go into the vehicle because we have to do it in a proper fashion to recover that evidence. So we're waiting for our forensics folks to be able to execute that. Plus, we don't want to do it outside in the rain, so we have to take it to a dry place. So that's happening as we speak. Hopefully, that's going to lead us to some other things. Anything else with that, Tony?
No, that's good.
Yes, sir.
Was he from Summit or?
I don't know.
Westmont.
Westmont.
He lives in Westmont. He has family that lives in Summit,
Okay.
and immediately following the shooting, he fled to a family member's house in Summit.
Can you spell his name, just to make sure we've got it correct?
His last name is spelled Froylan, and his first name is Mario, Mario.
Okay. Got it.
Documented gang member, by the way.